Welcome to this lesson where we will continue the work on our website with designing recent projects section. But before we get into designing it, there's one problem we have to fix. As you can see here, we have run out of space. So let's go to images, image, canvas size, make sure the relative is checked. Let's click this anchor and increase the height by 3000 pixels. Press OK, and also let's zoom out and increase the height for our body background layer. Press Ctrl T on your keyboard and drag it to the bottom of our document. Press enter. Now let's zoom in by pressing Ctrl 1 on your keyboard. Press Ctrl H to turn the guides back on, and we'll start by placing in the recent projects heading. So create a new layer. First of all, let's select a ruler tool. We need to measure 100 pixels from the bottom of skills section from this guide right here. So let's measure 100 pixels. Place a guide at this mark. Now let's scroll up, press T on your keyboard and select the skills layer to get all of these type properties in. Press enter. We can close skills group, select this layer, and at this guide right here, let's left click and type recent projects dot. Press enter, press V on your keyboard, switch to move tool, nudge it into place so it's right up against these guides. Now again, let's select ruler tool and measure 40 pixels from the bottom of this heading. Let's place a guide at this mark. Switch to move tool. We can get rid of this guide because we don't need it anymore. And now let's create a new layer and place in the background for recent projects. So select rectangle tool, left click here. The width for it will be 1600 pixels and height will be for now 1200 pixels, but we will adjust it later on. Press OK. Now let's head to our style guide to get the background color for it. Let's select this color, copy the color code, double click on this thumbnail, paste it in. OK. Now let's place in the first recent project. So again, create a new layer. Let's zoom out a bit, left click here, and width for it will be 1200 pixels and the height for it will be 310 pixels. This will serve as a base for the recent project's background. So double click on this thumbnail and the color for it will be black, so 000. OK. Now we need to place in an image. Let's go to file, place, and the image for it will be this project right here. Zoom out a bit and adjust the image's width. Also, it is more than 1200 pixels. I think this will be okay. Press enter, and again, with placing your cursor in between these two layers, hold Alt and left click so it clips this image to the layer. And with image selected, we can switch to move tool by pressing V, and let's nudge this image into the right place. I think this will be okay, and opacity for this image will be 50%. So with this image selected, let's press 5 on our keyboard to bring down the opacity. Now select all of these layers and let's group them. Ctrl G to group them, and let's call them recent projects. Projects. Enter. Let's open up it. This was recent projects background, BG, and these two are project. Let's open up this one and again select both of these layers inside project and rename it as project BG. Enter. Let's create a new layer and let's place in the heading for this project. So let's zoom in to 100%, switch to text tool by pressing T on our keyboard. The heading's font family will be Maven Pro regular. Font size for it will be 36 pixels, so let's write 36, and the color for it will be white, so FFF. Okay, all of the content inside of the recent project will be 700 pixels in width. So we need to place this heading right here. So left click somewhere here. And the name for this project was in our information sheet. Let's find Maynard Wedding. Control C, paste it in. Okay, press V to switch to move tool. Let's nudge it right up against the top of this project, and the padding for it, or the margin, will be 50 pixels. So again, by holding shift and using arrow down key, let's move it 50 pixels. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Create another layer. Here we will have a text, and this text will serve as a testimonial from these people right here. So switch to text tool by pressing T on our keyboard. Let's change the font family to Lotto. Press enter. The weight for it and style will be light italic, and the font size for it will be 16 pixels, and the color will be the same white color. So let's left click here and drag it, and the width for it will be 450 pixels. Will be okay. Let's head to our information sheet and copy this text right here. Control C, Control V, Control A to select entire text, and let's reduce it to 24, the line height to 24. Okay, and let's reduce the height of this layer. Press OK. Switch to Move tool by pressing V on our keyboard. The space in between these two will be 30 pixels, so nudge it right up against the heading, and by holding again shift and using arrow down keys, let's move it 30 pixels. So 1, 2, 3. Next thing is we need to place in the button, which will toggle the extra information for this project, and we don't have to create it because if you remember in our style guide we already created buttons. So let's just select this group button and just drag it to our design file. Release your mouse right here. As you can see here, we have a button, and again nudge it right up against that layer, and the space in between those two will be also 30 pixels. So 1, 2, 3. Now let's place in the information about this person, which says something about this photo shoot. So again, create a new layer. Switch to text tool by pressing T on your keyboard. The font, weight, and style will be regular for this one, and the size will be 18 pixels. And the color for it will be this yellow color. So let's copy this color code, head back to our design file, paste it in, okay, and let's left click just here, and name for this person was, let's head to our information sheet, it was Mary Maynard. Copy it, paste it in, press OK on our keyboard, and to know where we need to place it, let's select a ruler tool, and from this guide right here, let's measure 700 pixels. It's 750. So we need to place this text at this guide right here. So switch to Move tool, place it right up against that guide. Now let's just duplicate this layer by pressing Ctrl J on our keyboard. Let's move it down a bit and switch to text tool by pressing T on our keyboard. The font size for the extra information will be 16 pixels, and the color for it will be this gray color right here. So copy the color code from our style guide and paste this color in. Okay, and she was a bride. So let's write here bride, enter, switch to Move tool, nudge it up against that guide and right up against the name of the person, and space in between those two will be 10 pixels. So again, by holding shift and using arrow down key, let's move it 10 pixels. Let's group these layers real quick. So this is the person info, and we want this person info to be somewhere vertically aligned with this text. So let's move it down a bit so it's somewhere here. I think it looks good. Let's zoom out a bit, turn off the guides by pressing Ctrl H. Yeah, things looking good as it should. Let's take this project, and what we will do is just again duplicate it by pressing Ctrl J on our keyboard, and let's move it down here. We are doing this just to save us some time. Let's zoom out. First thing is we need to change the background. So head to Project BG, delete this image, go to File, Place. Let's place in the next image, and this image of a girl. Let's zoom out. I think the width in this case will be okay. So press Enter on our keyboards. Again, let's clip this layer, move this image. I'll move it somewhere here, nudge it into place, and again press 5 on your keyboard to reduce the opacity, and let's change the information here. So the heading was Linda's photo shoot. So highlight this text from information sheet, let's zoom in, Double click on this layer and paste in the text, enter, and let's change also the person info text. So double click right here, the name of her was Linda Johnson, copy it, paste it in, okay, and she is a model, so press enter. Let's align these layers, so align the model text as well as her name, and let's change the name of these projects. So this was wedding, this is Linda. Let's zoom out again and let's duplicate this layer one more time because we will have 3 projects. Move it right here, nudge it into place, zoom out again. Let's find the background image, press delete on our keyboard and place in the new image. Press enter on your keyboard. Again, clip it by holding Alt and left clicking in between those 2 layers. Let's zoom in. Let's nudge it into place. I think that will be okay. Again, let's reduce the opacity by pressing 5 on your keyboard, and let's change the information. So first of all, double click on this heading. The name was National Park Photo Shoot. Let's copy it, paste it in, okay. Change the information about this person. Double click right here and John Treeman, paste it in, and he is a national park director. So copy it, paste it in. Okay, move these layers into right place, right back against that guide, and change the name of this group project, and I'll call the project park. Press enter. And now that we have designed all of these projects, in the next lesson we will continue the work on recent projects with placing in the extra information for this national park photo shoot project. See you there.